Now we're going to look at incorporating open strings when playing a lead line. Most of the worship songs that we play, the modern stuff, has a signature guitar lead line that's kind of like the thumbprint of the song, and it really stands out. Well, a lot of times when you hear those recordings and those lead lines on a CD, it sounds big and great. But if you're playing on a live team with maybe one electric guitar player, as soon as you go and play a single note lead line, it's going to sound a little kind of wimpy compared to what you heard on the CD, because there's not two or three other rhythm guitar parts that are backing it. So you have to leave playing multiple strings to playing one note at a time. And even if you have a boost on with effects, it can sound a little empty. And so a great way to do this in a smaller team setting with one guitar, let's say, or two, is to incorporate an open string along with the lead notes. Let me show you how to do this. So one, probably, I would say the easiest key or form to play is in the G form. Once again, G form or key will allow you to have these two notes open, because this one is the 1 and this is 5. But for this example, I'm only going to use this 1. I don't want to clutter it too much with too many open strings, which means I'm going to make sure that this D string is muted, this A string is muted, this low E string is muted. So this open G is going to be ringing all the time. And what I'm going to do is go find the scale, the major scale. A lot of them, I would say most of the modern worship songs are in major keys, which use the major scale for their lead lines. And so here we go. So here, if I were to open this and I were to create a scale on this B string, it would look like this. It would be so 1 would be this note right here. That is a G as well on this B string. And the 2 note of the scale would be here. 3 would be here, it's 12th fret. 4 is down here. 5, this note right there. Here's 6, 7, and 1. So now I've created a major scale on an adjacent string to this open G. And if I were to play, any one of these notes along with this open G, it's going to have that open string incorporated with this scale. And it's going to sound pretty unique. It's going to also sound bigger. And once again, it's going to be a little more forgiving for you to play these lead lines, because this open G will always be ringing, so it won't be so choppy. And so there's a lot of songs that utilize this exact technique, in the modern worship kind of movement. And you can go try it right now. But this is one way to do it. Now, this is easy because there's only 2 strings involved. However, another thing you can do is you can go find other ways to play the major scale in one region of the guitar. So let me kind of go and give you that as well. So if I were to erase this, go back and I'll draw my 1 again. So here's 1. Another thing you can do is play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can play down here and back to 1. So within this area of the neck, you can have the full major scale along with this open G string. This is a little trickier because as soon as you play this 4, 5, and 6 note, you're going to have to mute this G string and basically strum within 3 strings so that you'll still get 2 strings ringing while muting this middle. But with a little practice, it'll be no problem. Here's another thing you might want to do. I mean, this is kind of endless. I'm going to show you a bunch of ways, but you can create this yourself by using your knowledge of the major scale. But here's another way. This might be a more common way for you to play the major scale. 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's another way you can play while keeping this G string open. But as soon as you play leads this way, it's just going to sound bigger and it's going to sound more modern. And so a lot of times in the songs that we play, this is definitely desirable. Now remember, this is just in the G form. You can go back to the other video that talks about all 5 caged forms and which forms have 1 and 5 where, depending on which form you choose, and then go and create a major scale somewhere to those adjacent strings, and then now you have a complete different set of notes to be able to utilize in your lead lines. The other thing too is, remember, this is G form in the key of G because this is open. If you were to capo somewhere, then you can still use this G form in a different key and utilize this same thing. Let me give you one example of that. So let's say we were playing in the key of B flat, which is kind of a, it might seem like a difficult key, but really when you look at it as a guitar player, as long as you use the capo and your knowledge of music theory, this is really easy. Because if you capo on the 3rd fret and still play in the G form, this note here is your 1. That's your 1. So you want to leave that open. And now let's say you want to find a different place to play your lead lines. Well, here's one other way. There's a 1 here. This is a 7. This open here is a 6. This here is a 5. That's a 4. This open is a 3. So now you can go and, using muting techniques and stuff, incorporate this open string. Remember, muting these 3 strings. You have your major scale here to incorporate with this 1 open G string. So go and explore this. The sound you're going to get is going to sound unique. Remember, you don't want to use it all the time, but a lot of times it does sound modern. And when there's only one electric guitar player, let's say, and it seems a little empty, from playing these full chords to moving to a lead line that only has 1 note, it's just, there's no way you're going to get the energy of strumming all these strings move into 1 note. It's going to sound like something dropped out, and dynamically it's going to sound wimpier than when you were playing on the chorus, So this is one way to kind of get around that.